I want to go ahead and bring in my guest for the show, Mark Savino. He is the owner of Mark's Painting and has been in the painting industry since 1987. And after over 20 years of service in the Tampa community, he feels confident that he can cater to your painting needs. He is also a licensed contractor in Hillsborough County since 1989 and is a member of PDCA, which is the Painting and Decorators Contractors of America. Mark's Painting gets the job done, and he doesn't just meet expectation, he exceeds them. Mark's customers keep coming back because he's dependable, knowledgeable, and pleasant to work with. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hi. How are you today?
Hey, doing great. So, Mark, tell me a little bit more about yourself and your company and your experience.
Well, like I said, I've been in the business since '87. I have done all types of painting, residential, commercial, mostly and up to 2 stories. My company is a very small company. I have 4 guys working for me plus myself, and when you hire Mark's Painting, you get me as well, because I'm not a guy who owns a company and then just drops people off. I'm a hands-on.
So you're out there actually painting some of the properties?
Right. I'm there at least 3/4 of the day. A lot of times when I'm not there, I'm estimating other properties or getting materials and everything, or paperwork that I need to be done.
Now, what is your service area? What do you cover in this area?
And anywhere in Hillsborough County.
Hillsborough County, you stay out of Pasco, Pinellas, and those areas? Yeah. Okay, and you said you had 4 other painters that are on staff?
Right, exactly.
Okay, and you also do residential and commercial projects as well?
Probably in an 80-20 ratio. So.
What is your liking more? Is residential is more your forte, or would you say commercial is something you'd like to get in more of?
Well, yeah, residential is my favorite because you're dealing with the person-to-person. With commercial, a lot of times you're either dealing with a general contractor or you're dealing with a property manager or like we did some stores in the mall recently. We're dealing with a maintenance company out of state. So it's tend to be less personal. I like the personal approach. I like dealing with people one-on-one, looking at them, telling them what I can do for them directly, and that's why it's my favorite.
Now, do you get involved with the color selection process with the homeowners as well? Yeah,
I'll help them out. I always emphasize that no matter what the chip looks like, we buy the small 8-ounce color samples. I tell them that lighting changes the color. What you have is flooring, and decorations also affects the color. So I always emphasize to put a sample on so they can see it in the real-time lighting, and usually about 20 or 25% of the time people are surprised that it doesn't look the same, so they make an adjustment.
And there's different qualities of paint. I want to go through them real quick with you. You got the satin, gloss, semi-gloss, and the flat finish.
Right.
I mean, where are you supposed to use those different types of paints in the different areas of the home?
I normally recommend in the bulk of the house an eggshell or a satin, which different companies will call theirs an eggshell and some will call it a satin. It has a little bit of a sheen to it. It has a high wear, easy to clean. Flats should be in areas, at best the bedroom, where you're not going to have as much traffic. Semi-gloss and glosses are usually used on doors and trim work, which are going to have the highest wear, or bathrooms, because bathroom will take you have to deal with humidity and moisture.
And do you usually use just a flat on the ceilings, or do you use a satin on ceilings?
Flat is on the bulk of the house, and in bathrooms and kitchens where you're going to have some moisture, I always recommend a satin.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about surface preparation, the importance of priming and stuff. A lot of people will just buy paint and just start painting. Is that advisable, or how important is primer?
The prep is the most important part. As far as if a homeowner's doing it themselves, I would always recommend a primer no matter what paint they buy, because it's better to do 1 coat of primer and 1 finish coat than 2 of the just finish coat.
Okay, so that's usually what happens, and if you don't use a primer, you end up doing multiple coats, but the primer allows you to do less coats.
Right, it gives you better adhesion. Also, it does not allow the paint to flash as far as soaking into the substrate. So it gives you a more even finish, so that when you go back to touch it up later, like with an eggshell, if you just paint 2 coats of it on, and it'll tend to leave a shiny spot. So people say, "Oh, this paint doesn't touch up very well." Well, because the surface prep and the prime wasn't done correctly. So you end up even though you have a good product, it doesn't touch up.
Okay, and now do you also do exterior painting of homes?
Yes. Yeah,
okay. How does the cost vary from exterior paint versus interior paint? Are they one and the same? Or
they're very similar. What causes interior painting to exceed exterior would be occupied houses that have a lot of furniture. You're going in there, and we come in the furniture moving business. We have to move everything to the center, cover everything up. It becomes 20% of your time is just moving items around. Mm-hmm. So the bulk of what I do ends up move-ins that are vacant. I've got a few of those coming up next week. You're able to get in, get out, do it before they buy, and your
I'd always wondered that. So as an interior painter, I mean, you do move the stuff around for people, or is that something you give them the option?
Well, if there's something that's like a china cabinet and they've got a lot of expensive stuff in it, I tell them they've got to take the expensive stuff out. We have those little sliders that we put underneath the heavy furniture, which doesn't damage floors, and even like refrigerators, we'll slide cardboard underneath them to prevent any problems. That way, customers can come back to you later and say, "Oh, you scratched my hardwood floors," or you did any issues. And if I do see any beforehand, I let them know you've got these scratches already here, so we don't have any conflicts.
Okay, and you're also a general contractor. What are some of the other services that you and your company offer?
I'm a painting contractor.
Painting contractor,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, we'll do some wood repair, drywall repair along with that. So.
Okay, and I see you offer free, no obligation estimates to all the people through your website. What is your website again?
Markspainting.com.
Markspainting.com, easy enough to remember. So you also do pressure washing and mildew removal as well? And
that's pretty much a must on any exterior painting, because Florida is probably the area that's affected most with mildew because of the high moisture. So when you're going to repaint an exterior, you basically start out with a pressure washing, and you add chlorine in with that to make sure any mildew is there, because sometimes mildew is not seen, but the spores are still there, and if you paint over it without properly neutralizing it, the mildew will grow through the paint and then cause you a bigger problem than you started out with.
Now, what about in cases of severe mold, and in the business we call it discoloration? Do you get involved with that, or is it just minor mildew projects?
Well, if it's on the surface and it's the exterior, but if we're dealing with a moisture problem of moisture leaking in, and you have issues inside with drywall, I normally recommend there are mold remediation companies, because at that point you have to come in, cut all the drywall out, remove all the trim, and neutralize the mildew before you do that, because mildew inside the house is can be a lot of health problems can occur with that you don't know about.
And if it's just minor mildew and mold in the house, and once you fix the source, that's obviously the biggest problem, fixing the source. I mean, can you just paint over it, or what do you have?
If it's on the surface, yes. If it's coming from moisture from behind and the mold is going through the drywall, you have to definitely cut it out and deal with it as far as eliminating it, and then you can re-sheetrock it and refix it.
Yeah, and it's an important point to remember for all the homeowners here in Florida, the importance of running your air conditioner in Florida, because mold and mildew builds up very quickly in this area because of the high moisture. And so by running your AC, it keeps the air dry. And I specialize in the sale of bank-owned properties, and I run into properties all the time that have some degree of mold. I mean, every property has some degree of mold or discoloration, that they say, but I've been in many that it's completely blackened inside from mold growth. And it only takes, really, I mean, a water source, and with the heat right now and the humidity, I mean, a home can turn into a mold-infested home in a matter of weeks. And so it's very important to run your air conditioner and then maintain your homes properly if you have a leak source. So if you're just tuning in, you've been listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 WINS, WHNZ. Back in a moment, we'll have more with Mark Savino of Mark's Painting. Hi, Jamie Meloni here, your host of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to my show on 1250 WINS, WHNZ. The Tampa Bay real estate market is very undersupplied, and we need inventory. There is strong demand from both first-time buyers as well as large investment groups, and many properties are seeing multiple offers due to the lack of inventory in our area to satisfy this demand. As a matter of fact, the Tampa Bay region is at a 7-year low in available inventory, and demand is at its strongest since the market's peak in 2006. This demand has pushed up values in our area as high as 20% in some areas year over year, and you may be surprised what your home is currently worth. I am offering all my listeners a free home valuation if you text the word VALUE to my cell phone at 813-760-8516. Again, text the word VALUE to 813-760-8516, and I will send you a complimentary and detailed home valuation within 3 business days of speaking to you. Please reach out to me. I've sold nearly 1,000 homes in the Tampa Bay region and have been in business for almost 7 years now. I have the market knowledge and experience to help you sell your home, whether big or small, for top price. Don't put one of your biggest investments into the wrong hands. There are many inexperienced agents in the market, and the wrong decision can cost you thousands in a poorly marketed and poorly negotiated deal. Trust your sale to one of the area's top listing agents and contact me today. In addition to having one of the top listing agents in the area representing your home, you can rest assured that you have the area's #1 real estate brand, Coldwell Banker, in your corner as well. Coldwell Banker is an internationally recognized real estate brand and properly markets your home across 500 websites, and we also utilize print advertising as well as all the social networking tools and sites to get your home exposed to a broad audience. Please reach out to me today for a free home valuation. Just text the word value to 813-760-8516. Again, 813-760-8516, or stop by my website at www.tampabayradio.com and fill out my contact form, and I will get in touch with you as soon as possible. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. Just click on like to receive show updates, as well as a feed of all my listings and current real estate news articles. You can also post questions on the page that I and the audience can discuss. Thanks for tuning in, and be back in a moment.
Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage want you to experience the thrill of one-day underwriting and the comfort in knowing your loans will be clear to close in record time. While the competition looks to a lost closing date, Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage focus on their 12-day clear to close. They do this by utilizing their world-class operations staff to underwrite your loan within 6 hours, process your loan in 12 days, and have your loan closed in time. Underwritten in 6 hours, cleared to close in 12 days. Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage. Since opening its doors 120 years ago, Stewart Title Company has established a lasting legacy of providing professional title services. Even other title insurance companies know Stewart Title Company because they do their actual underwriting for them. Stewart is here to provide a wide range of resources to help improve any real estate transaction. To learn more about protecting yourself against hidden title hazards that may threaten your financial investment, call Melissa Stoddard at 813-431-8025. That's 813-431-8025. In the market for a reverse mortgage? Contact Access Reverse, a local company with personalized service in the Bay Area. Call them at 727-347-0305 or visit accessreverse.com for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. They'll come to your home and speak with you about the best options for your reverse mortgage. Plus, they offer the lowest closing costs. Don't just get a reverse mortgage. Get the right reverse mortgage with Access Reverse. Visit accessreverse.com. NMLS number 1179063.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
You're listening to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show with local expert Jamie Meloni. Now, here's Jamie.
Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Been talking with Mark Savino of Mark's Painting, and want to continue the conversation a little bit about lead-based paint. Big issue that came out in the 60s when they began to remove lead from the base of the paints. Tell me a little bit about why this was done. A little bit about the lead-based paint concerns out there.
Well, the problem with lead-based paints is that if you ingest it or you sand it and inhale it, it can cause all sorts of health problems. The main part is with children. When you got peeling paint, kids will tend to pick it up, chew on it, eat it. Causes developmental problems, can be behavioral problems, all sorts of issues, and stunt growth. And I believe in adults you can have some blood pressure, cardiovascular problems, a multitude of different things, and you don't realize where it's coming from.
Yeah, in reading about it, and it gives the paint a sweet taste. So if there's paint chips, children could be likely to put it in their mouth and then like the taste of it, and just makes it worse.
And it was definitely in old hard oil-based paints. So we're finding that the houses that were built prior to '78 is when that occurred. The paints will delaminate at this point because they've been on so long, and I find a lot of houses in the areas that we do are having a lot of these issues. And unfortunately, a a lot of the homeowners don't really take it very seriously. You go there and explain to them, hey, you have a lead-based problem. I have to notify you of it. I have to handle it in a certain manner because I'm a lead-based renovator, by the EPA. And if they seem very unconcerned about it, which is very alarming to me. So.
I'd like to know, why did I put lead originally in paint? I mean,
lead is
a
cheap binder,
okay.
And it made it made it inexpensive to make and very hard. So most of the products are dealing with enamels on wood. It's probably less common on wall paint. So you'll see it on wood trim in houses the most, and the exterior woods on older houses. And again, less common in wall paints.
Why was it less common in wall paints? What was the difference?
Because they were mostly painted flats back then, and they were made out of this thing called calcimine, which didn't require the heavy binders that a lead would have.
Okay, so you see mostly in the door trims and the window frames.
Right, but the houses still have to be tested.
So how do you test the house? What's the procedure to find out if your paint has lead?
There are EPA-approved test kits that I have, but unless you have a test that says that the house does not have lead in it, you have to assume that every house has it, and you have to treat it as such with peeling paint. Now, if I'm going into a house that's built prior to 78 and there's no peeling paint and I'm not sanding or abrading anything, it's exempt from the rule. Or, if the homeowner does it themselves, they don't have to do it that way. So there's certain exemptions that the EPA has given out. But if I go in there and there's any sanding involved, I have to treat it as a lead-based house unless I have a test by them, or I can provide a test that it's done. So
what is and just briefly, what is the process to remediate? You just sand it down, where some type of respiration?
We have to contain the area if it's interior. Mm-hmm. We have sanders that have HEPA filter vacuums on them. So those can vary anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to buy those. And then you use that, and once you're done with that, you have to remove all the plastic and everything you have contained and wipe down all the surfaces twice, and that's the minimum. But the HEPA filter and vacuum, the tools that they have now for it are excellent. It really helps a lot. So,
can you tell us what's the pricing to do the test first of all, and what would be the pricing to actually remediate to lead-based paint? Well,
the tests are normally about, if you send it to a lab, it's about $250 to $350, depending on the lab. I do a field test with the field kit, and it generally will give me, it'll turn pink or not, and it'll give me the results. But pretty much, I've never been in a house that the paint has been peeling down to the old trim built in the 50s, 60s, or early 70s that has not really come back positive with lead. So I tell people to save the money for the expensive test and just handle it the correct way.
Is it an expensive process to remediate a typical 1,500 square foot home?
Well, I don't remove all lead. Only thing I'm doing is going in and removing anything that's peeling. It can get to be, if it's in a wide range area in the house, it can, because you have to have no one in the house. I have to tent it off. I have to clean up every time I'm done. It probably quadruples the time it takes me to do it.
So it's sort of like treating for termites. You got to put a tent around the property.
Right. Well, if it's if we're working in a bedroom, we have to shut off the air conditioner. We have to block up all the vents. We have to put plastic all the way around and the flooring, and then do our removal, and then.
And how many days is a typical process for just the average size home? Is it a
couple of rooms could take a day or two just to do, depending on if it's a few areas peeling, it's not much. If it's a tremendous, there was one I looked at that was a back porch. It was almost the entire thing was coming down, and a sale was involved in it, so they had to bring me as far as giving an estimate, and it was one back porch, and it was like $1,500 just to do a back porch, because it was a lot of time involved.
Right.
So.
Well, some great information. Getting ready here to got to wrap it up here. Mark, real quick for the audience, how can you get in touch with you off air?
You can call me at 813-831-5433, or you can go to my website, markspainting.com.
Okay, one more time with the phone number for the audience, if you would.
813-831-5433.
Okay, and if you didn't catch that information, he'll be up on the Tampa Bay radio site here within the next couple of days as a past guest on the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. Mark, thank you very much for coming on the show. A lot of great information.
Thank you for having me.
If you're just tuning in, you found the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show here on 1250 Wins WHNZ. We were just talking with Mark Savino of Mark's Painting, and also in studio we had the lovely Stella Giudicelli, realtor with Coldwell Banker as well. I want to invite you into my website, again, tampabayradio.com, and you can get me off the air via my phone, as I am a local listing agent, can help you out with the sale of your home. If you just give me a call, 813-760-8516. Again, 813-760-8516. I hope everybody has a great week and enjoy the 4th of July weekend, as will I, and I will see you here back again next Monday at noon on the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. Have a great week.